Hey everybody, welcome to the Tech Files Dose of Common Sense, where all reasoning is visited and no reasoning is left untouched. How y'all doing? Welcome to the official launch of the podcast. I'm your host, TMobile. Welcome to this wild and wonderful journey. Speaking of journeys and podcasting, guess what, guys and girls? We officially have a show email. That's right. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, need help with a device, or have business opportunities, please contact me at show, S-H-O-W, at techfilesmedia.com. That is show at techfilesmedia.com. Or you can tweet me at TechFiles. And let's start with it. I will also give you additional news on website construction. We do have it underway as of right now. First up, Apple. Apple has indeed released the long-awaited version of the public beta for iOS 11. And it's got more features than I could possibly explain to you in this podcast. So if you are interested, I will leave the link to the public beta in the show notes. Feel free, download. Before you download it though, you might want to make sure you have a backup on file with iTunes. Because if you download it and you don't have a secure Wi-Fi connection or it's not exactly stable, you might need that backup. But anyway, go ahead and follow the link in the show description. It will send you directly to the page. Follow the prompts, download the software, and the next thing you know, you will be running the public beta. There are over 100 new different features and different operations involving this. So it's a big difference from what you have right now. And I'm running it on the iPad, which I'm using to record the podcast. So it's pretty good, obviously, because I'm using it right now. There is also a website that you can read the article about the release of the public beta. That article is over at Pocket Now. And once again, the link to that article and also the link to the iOS preview will be in the show description. And I hate to already wreck a segue here, but we're going to go from Apple, which is flying high and running fast. We're going to go to Windows Phone. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're going to go to Windows Phone. We wish it was flying high and running fast, but unfortunately it's not yet. I know. They're there, little Johnny. They're there. Okay, good. So, if you ever wondered, and I know that Microsoft had its McLaren phone, which never really released, but we did see the running version of it. If you have any questions about the McLaren, by all means, go over to Windows Central. And also, I do believe Mr. Mobile had a video on YouTube as well for the Nokia McLaren. It was a pretty good device. But also, it seems that Microsoft had another unreleased device, and it was the Lumia 960. Now, if you've never seen it, I do have a link to the article that was discussing it, also in the show description. I would say this device would be a cross between the HTC One M8 and an iPhone, with all due respect. I mean, it looks beastly, and I'm not sure exactly what the specs were, but it looked like they might have had a couple of good phones on their hands if only Microsoft would start making actual phones for this thing that, well, I digress. Okay, before I get on this rant, those of us that loved Microsoft Windows, in fact, I'm going to ask you this. Did you have a Microsoft phone? And if you did, what was it? I know I had a Lumia 635 and I also had a Lumia 930. I didn't have the Lumia 930 that long, though, due to a 2-story drop on the concrete. This is where cases and screen protectors do come in handy. And I was like little Johnny there about 3 minutes ago. Okay. So anyway, I digress. Before we get back on this. This was called the Lumia 960. It looked like a cross between, like I said, an HTC One M8. It didn't have 2 camera lenses, but it had the antenna bar, and an iPhone. Let's just go ahead and call it that. Microsoft, if you want to get back in the phone game where everybody respects your operating system, fix the operating system for the phone, and then come out with a couple of good flagships. Don't sit here and come out with a phone, aka the 950 and the 950 XL, say they're the best Microsoft Windows phones in the world. I kind of agree, that kind of looked pretty cool, especially when you put a Mozo back on it. But admit it, your application store was garbage. Absolute garbage. You know, you came out with the phones, big fanfare, everything was great, and then all of a sudden, that's right, crickets. Come out with good OSs, fix your Windows Store, and then come out with an actual effing flagship that we can use, and then people might buy your devices again. Wouldn't that be awesome? That way you wouldn't have to write off $8 billion. Anyway, end rant. So for those of you that have the Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus, congratulations, you have an awesome phone. I have one myself. But 2 things about the Galaxy S8. We all know that the Galaxy S8 is going to break a lot of records, and it's already broken a couple in Korea. The sales have exceeded 1.3 million units, and I do believe that they were released a couple of days before we had it in the States. So they're already at 1.3 million units. I think the last phone did almost 100 million. I could be wrong on that, but I'm thinking that could be it. But also, they're coming out with an S8 Plus, and I love how they called this. Rose Pink. They didn't say it was rose gold, which we all know is pink anyway. They just went ahead and said it. We're coming out with a rose pink Galaxy S8 Plus. And it's coming out to charm all you women, lady customers out there. Here's the bad part. It's only going to be in Taiwan, which isn't all that good. If you're not in Taiwan, it's bad. If you're in Taiwan, enjoy the phone. There's an article that describes it. There's an article that talks about the fact that it's only going to be in Taiwan. I will leave that article in the description for you as well. I think you'll enjoy it. And speaking of things that are setting records, we all know when the wearables hit. We all know when Pebble came out, it was an awesome watch. The Gear, maybe not so much. Gear Live just sucked, but they came out with the Pebble, the Gear Fit. I think you could have come out with a different design when you originally came out with the Gear, because I think that's what scared a lot of people away. And then you came out with Android Wear, Google, and I just wish you had put it on. The 2 watches that you actually came out with Android Wear were not the best looking watches on planet Earth. You should have just came out with the Moto 360, or just simply waited and then just came out with 3. But I digress. So we have Android Wear, we have Android Wear 2.0. Every OEM on the planet now has a wearable. And when you know it, the one company that has just stomped all over the competition, whether it's Android, whether it's Tizen, whether it's whatever the hell operating system is on this particular watch. When you know it, the one company dominating is Apple. That's right, guys. The Apple Watch, believe it or not, has, wait for it, 53% of the market. Are you kidding me? Let me say this again. The Apple Watch, and I'm talking the one that they came out with that had aluminum. You can start here for $350, and then you can get another one for $700. And their Apple Watch edition, you could have paid $17,000 for, which I wouldn't have paid $17,000 if I had it. They're dominating the market right now. What a shock, because like I said before, and I'll say it again, it is all about advertising. If you advertise what product you have and you let everyone know about the product, you're going to make sales. Shocking, huh? I know. Apple has sit there and they have marketed this thing, and the next thing you know, they're dominating. And I know that's a shock to y'all. LG, which comes out with a phone and then does no marketing, but they market the hell out of it. And they're just sitting there now doing this. Little Johnny, what do you think? Yeah, I know. But I digress. Apple is dominating the wearables market, which I'm not too surprised about because, like I said, marketing is going to run all things wearable. Actually, all things mobile, period. I mean, Apple, maybe not so much in the phone game because you have Samsung who decides to decorate the whole of Times Square. They don't get a billboard, they don't get 2, they get 20. Advertising is the game. Speaking of advertising, I wonder what's going to happen with this. The Essential phone. Looks great. Specs look great. Although specs never make a phone. But let's see what happens here. The Essential phone has gone through the FCC. And I mean very, very recently gone through the FCC, like as in a few hours ago. So I'm guessing that the launch could be literally any day now. So there's that. Now, once again, the Essential phone is literally going to be one of two things. It's going to be unlocked, or you're going to have it with who? Sprint. Now, I digress. You know, it could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. I don't know. It depends on how they do the marketing. Which it could happen. You know, somebody can come out with a great marketing campaign, and the next thing you know, the Essential phone could beat them all. I doubt it, but could be. Once again, the link to this particular story will be in the description. Trust me, I'm kind of wondering what this Essential phone is going to look like in the final form of things. Speaking of final form, next we have a launch. That's right, kids. We have a launch of, wait for it, that's right, the OnePlus 5, which we knew we were going to have anyway. The OnePlus 5 is now available for sale. It's also available for sale on Amazon at a price a little bit lower than what we had told you the other night, thankfully. At the same time the OnePlus 5 is launched, we also have a software update for the OnePlus 5. The software updates include several bug fixes, including two things. I'm almost certain one of them is going to be benchmarks. You're a little late. But one of the major bug fixes is camera software. Apparently, there's some complaints about the dual camera system not working properly on the initial software. So they have updated the software where it optimizes it quite a bit. And from what I've understood, the bug fixes appear to be working great. So feel free, check that out. OnePlus, go to the OnePlus website, get your OnePlus 5, and you'll have a software update right out of the box. That should be good. Speaking of things that are good, T-Mobile. Now, before you say anything, T-Mobile they've had points of slow speed, and they've had points of high speed. Now, the points of slow speed we're not going to discuss because that's in the past. But lately, T-Mobile's speeds have gotten significantly better. How good? I will tell you this, with the Galaxy S8 and the Galaxy S8 Plus, various speed tests have ended up anywhere between 45 megabytes per second and 110 megabytes per second. Now, your mileage may vary in big capital letters, because you could very well be in an area that has marginal coverage, and there are a few. Hi, Patchy. Welcome. Patchy wants to say something now. Anyway. So, T-Mobile speeds are increasing. Now, everyone has announced they're going to be going to 5G. I'm almost sick of 5G, and it hasn't even been fully tested yet. However, T-Mobile has engaged the unlicensed LTE spectrum in various cities, which is terrifically awesome, because now they are getting speeds of approximately 750 megabytes per second, which is terrific. So if you have T-Mobile, if you have the LTE capability, which I do believe it's the S8 and the S8 Plus at this point, might be the G6. Those of you with XDA, you probably know, if you don't have it, how to turn it on. However, if you have availability to that network, you guys are probably rolling in the aisles right now, just jumping up and down for joy, because you're getting download speeds of almost a gigabyte a second. That is awesome. Now that we've talked about T-Mobile, now that we've talked about the Essential Phone, Apple's wearables, the rose pink, yeah, it's not rose gold, it's rose pink. Now that we've talked about that, now that we've talked about, the Microsoft Lumia 960, which I wish I had, but anyway. Actually, I wish I had the OnePlus 5, that way I can check it for myself. But I have seen it a couple of times. I've actually played with it once. A friend of mine has it here. And it's pretty good to use. I mean, yes, the back of it does look like an iPhone 7 Plus. However, the second you get it in hand, it feels nothing like an iPhone 7 Plus. It actually feels slightly better than the S8 Plus. However, I do digress on that. If you're interested in any one of these stories, I will put a show description under where the podcast is, and in that we'll have links to everything. So if by chance you're in your car and you miss something that I say, and you want to just go to the story, I will put a link of where I read it. I will put it into the show notes. You can go through it. You'll notice a lot of these are going to be very reliable sites. Okay, if I don't see or hear or trust the source, I'm not going to put it in the description for you. However, I will, from reputable sites, I will put the link in the description so you can read it at your own leisure. Because you can't always trust everything that everyone says. Rule number 1, don't trust everything that anyone says, including me, because I could be wrong on occasion. That's been known to happen before. So just a reminder, we are on iTunes, we are on Google Play, we are on Stitcher. Thank you, Stitcher. We do appreciate it. We are on Digital Play. We are working on SoundCloud. And we are also on Spreaker.com. As a matter of fact, Spreaker.com is the platform that I use to broadcast from. Thank you very much, Spreaker, for all of your help and everything. Setting this part up was an actual breeze. Trust me when I say that was the easy part. Getting everything else had the infinite level of difficulty as it went on. I actually also have a Patreon page. If you care to visit it, it is patreon.com. Look up Tech Files in the search, or I do believe, and I haven't got the official URL yet, but I do believe it's going to be patreon.com, and then just search Tech Files, TEKFILES, no space. Search that. Feel free to contact me at email show@techfilesmedia.com, or send me a tweet at TechFiles on Twitter. But the current state of things is we do have a website under construction as of right now. That will probably be complete no later than the end of the week. Reason being for that is because we are not going through a simple just, hey, here's my website, I have a podcast. No, we are actually going to do this professional. We are going to do this professional. We're going to do this exactly the way it's supposed to be done, and in the way opposite of what I have seen on more than one occasion. It is like, oh, here's my RSS feed. Do you have a website? No. We will. We have a website. It is under construction. show@techfilesmedia.com. If you have any questions, business inquiries, whatever, send me an email. I will respond. I may not get back to you immediately, but I will get back to you. Your feedback is very important to us. Also, the objective of this podcast is to do it at least 3 times a week. So you're here. I'm actually transmitting right now on Monday night. It is about 11 at night. 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be released Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, when you get up and go to work, you'll find me. We are going to do this. If everything goes right, we are going to be broadcasting, have everything available to you Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Now, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is a fixed schedule. We will not variate from that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. However, there will be occasionals where I do at least 5 a week, or at least that's what I'm going for. That also depends on a few things. Patreon will describe one of them. In order for us to operate, we do have to have a certain amount of capital in to operate that. Okay. If you notice, we have progressively gotten better, thank you, Jesus, as we've gotten along. Like I said, our main objective is to provide you news, opinion, and advice. That's what we intend to do. We intend to be honest about it. And I'm sorry, I will put my opinion into this. And it's probably because I've been selling phones, using phones, and routing and roaming phones for far, far, far too long not to have an opinion. There's a few others other than me that will not just simply be talking heads. I refuse to be a simple talking head. I will give my opinion. It may not always be the most popular opinion, but you will get one, and you'll get an honest one at that. And if I'm wrong on something, which will happen from time to time, call me out on it. I'll put the links in. And if I am wrong on it, and I do get a correction, I will tell you. I might even make a special segment for that. You never know. So, I have a couple questions for you. Now that we've gotten the major part of our launch podcast out of the way, I've got a couple questions for you. And during the test episodes, you heard me ask them. So now I'm going to ask you again. What's your daily driver? What are you carrying right now? Are you comfortable with it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I know quite a few people that have had daily drivers and they wish they never even saw the brand, let alone had the phone. I don't quite have that problem. I have the Galaxy S8 Plus. I also have the iPhone 7 Plus. The iPhone 7 Plus, the only reason I got this in a particular configuration is because they had a deal on it. I have the iPhone 7 Plus in the 256 configuration. The reason being for that is because it was half the price, which I have not regretted for a second. I'm able to get a lot done with that. I do use an iPad 5th gen. It's the exact same iPad 5th gen that I'm using to broadcast on right now. Spreaker, if it wasn't for your help and support, this would not be possible. But that's what I carry. I carry a Galaxy S8 Plus, I carry an iPhone 7 Plus, and I carry an iPad 5th gen. That's what I use. If you hear me on air, I will be using one of those three devices. And I have done a test episode off of the Galaxy S8 Plus. And believe it or not, I have used the Blue Yeti to mate with that S8 Plus. Yes, I do use the Blue Yeti for a microphone. Actually, I thought at one time the gain was way too high. It actually turned out to be just fine. It was the software that I was using at the time, which wasn't Spreaker, but this one is. So once again, thank you, Spreaker. But I do use the Blue Yeti. I do plug it into the 5th gen iPad and use it to do the main part of the podcast. If I'm not on that, I will usually be on the iPhone 7 Plus to do it. Reason being is because I use the same software and I can also use the same adapter. I can also use a somewhat similar adapter for the Galaxy S8 Plus, but that one actually has a little bit more flexibility to me than what Spreaker's application on iOS is, because I can put in my own composed tracks. So there's my daily driver. What's yours? Email me at show@techfilesmedia.com and I'll put them on the air. Do you customize your home screen? I do. I'm sorry, I can't, Samsung, I can't stand your TouchWiz. I dealt with it for the first month and then I had to get custom live wallpaper. I'm sorry. And I also use, depending on what mood I'm in, I either use Nova Launcher or I use, well, it used to be Action Launcher 3. It's now just Action Launcher. They've come out with a recent update that gives a big compliment to anyone who has supported any one of their legacy systems in the past. So that's what I use. Send me what you use for a daily driver. Like I said, we'll put them on the air, and on occasion I will do live episodes, and I might even do YouTube videos, and we can talk about it. I have no questions and no problems with that at all. Show@techfilesmedia.com or follow me on Twitter @techfiles. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been one hell of a podcast. I have enjoyed having you as listeners, and I hope you've enjoyed having me into your life for almost 30 minutes now. This may or may not be the normal length, but I was once told quite a bit ago that a podcast is as long as you want it to be. So sometimes we'll go 30 minutes, sometimes we'll go an hour. And if we've got a real long one, if I have a co-host or a guest in studio, trust me when I say it might go a while because I have a mouth that never quits. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Dose of Common Sense. This is Tech Files. I am your host, Ed. Once again, you can email me at show, SHOW, at techfilesmedia.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at TechFiles. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your listenership. Spreaker, thank you very much for your support in getting this up and running. And we are absolutely positively out of time. And we'll catch y'all later. Thank you.